Hello everyone and welcome back to Brick Rigs. I'm here just going to show off a couple of designs that I have completed, one of them which I completed literally about a minute ago. The first one I'm going to show is another version of my military truck. Yes, again, another boring old military truckcation, but this one is slightly different. I've created a fuel truck because, well, everyone needs a fuel truck to keep their army running, so what I've done here is I have removed the entirety of the back of the truck again to create it into a flatbed. The cab is completely unchanged, as you can see. I should probably update the cabs and actually add in, steering wheel and other things like that, things in the front. But yeah, I haven't yet got round to that. I've been working on bigger and better things in Brick Rigs. But yeah, with the fuel truck, what I've done is I've stripped away the entire back, and then what I did is to create the cylindrical look. It was difficult, but what I decided to do was just to go into aircraft, get these octagons. Let's just do that and that. There you go. So basically, yeah, I've just used these fuselage, these aircraft fuselage octagons, and just put a load of them in a line with redirectors underneath this. Somewhere under there. There we go. So yeah, these are the redirectors that I use. They're a simple 2x1 flat, but they're the redirector flats. And so yeah, that sort of sticks them to the underside of the truck. So that created the cylindrical shape. Then I just covered it with flat plates. I've got 8x4x1 flats because they're the biggest I could get, although I could get 10s. But yeah, I used 2 8s for the sides, and then a single 4x4 flat image plate, which I've then just put a white American star on because, America. And then for the others, yeah, again, just more 8x4x1 flats here, all along the outside, and along the bottom. And then, yeah, these are supposed to be sort of like dials, which you can, or not dials, but wheels. The wheels which you would use to turn to get the petrol or whatever you decide to keep in this vehicle. And then on the side, in order to get up to the top, I've created a ladder by using these grill pieces, these 2x1 flat grill pieces, just to create a ladder up to it. And then, of course, I could stick some of them to the side, but not all of them. In order to get all the way down, I've just used some glass pieces. Well, one glass piece, a 2x4x1 flat glass piece. And then that creates a ladder all the way up to the top. On top here, you've got a hatch here. And the idea of this hatch is that this is where you would pour the petrol or whatever you're going to be storing in here into. So you would drive underneath at the vehicle depot, or indeed whatever depot you're going to collect these materials. You would turn the wheel, which would open up this. It would raise in this direction, so it would end up flat up like this. And then, yeah, so you would turn this dial, which would open up this, you pour it in, and then you would turn it again, turn the wheel, and then it would close. On the back, because whatever you're going to be storing in here is going to be explosive, I've just put a big caution sign which says caution explosives, and then at the bottom just a little flammable thing. I had to redesign the back of the truck in order to put the brakes, the brake lights, the reverse lights, and the stop lights on. And well, I've simply created them into a sort of V shape around the side of this this truck. And then for the back, as you can see, it's a bit cramped in here. That's because to give it the feel of the fact that you're transporting actual explosive cargo, I've just put a whole load of tanks in here, and these have just got petrol in them because, well, petrol tanker. So that's what these are. There's just loads of these in there. So basically, yes, it is explosive. Which means that, yes, you do have to be careful with this thing, because it will go up like a bomb. And then to seal off the back, just loads of plates, pretty much, yeah. So there we go. In order to get them into all of the corners, I used some of these trapezoid pieces, which helped create basically a square, which I could then just fill in with loads of these 6x1 bricks. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the truck. Nothing changed to the front of the cab, obviously. It's still got this big old V12 in here, just to power it, as per usual. And so yeah, if we... okay. So yeah, if we take this out for a spin in the morning air, as you can see, oh, wonderful. The handles pretty much the same, except that it's now a little bit more unstable due to the fact that you have now got this gigantic canister on the back. But yeah, other than that, it drives pretty much the same. You've still got the rear view mirrors on the side there. Ooh, blaring sun. There is the train. You've got to be careful not to take corners too sharply, otherwise that'll happen, and all the wheels will come off, and well, yeah, it sort of goes funny like that. And then if I change to this, and I get out this, and I'll show you what happens if this thing explodes. Oh, well, apparently it's anti-tank resistant. Very anti-tank resistant. There you go, it'll just blow off the back. There you go, blow off the back again. And then hopefully these things will detonate. There we go. Yeah, that's what happens. It sort of does that. And as you can see, those have sort of gone everywhere, and it does explode very much like a bomb. There's bits of it over there, bits of it over there, bits of it around here, all the way down there. Yeah. So basically, do not damage this thing. But yeah, so that's the for the fuel truck. And now on to my biggest creation yet. At least I think it's my biggest creation yet. So yeah, I've gone to the hangar because again, I've been playing around with creating aircraft, and this time I've created something very special. It's a twin-engine bomber. It's a twin-engine biplane modelled on the German biplanes of World War I. And as you can see, yeah, it's my biggest vehicle yet. It contains 1,200 pieces, and most of that is due to this camouflage, which I will get onto. So, starting up, I used the main fuselage from my fighter, my biplane fighter, and I kept that the same. So, yeah, the beige is the same, the cross is the same. It's still got the red seats in it, and yeah. However, obviously the wings needed to be elongated, so I had to elongate the wings. Because it's going to be more unwieldy, I added another set of flaps on the wings there. Up the front, I had to elongate the front of it. Obviously, had to remove the front propeller of it, and so yeah, remove the front propellers, and then I elongated the front nose, added a front machine gunner, and the machine gun does move. As you can see, the machine gun is able to turn 45 degrees either way out the front, to just so that it's a front machine gun turret, just to deter the fighters. It can only move that. It can only move horizontally. It can't move vertically, unfortunately, because that contains a whole new set of mechanics which I would have to do. But yeah, the cockpit's basically the same. Yeah, that's unchanged. The antenna's still there as the joystick control. Obviously, we had to change the undercarriage, and the big bombers of World War I often had these twin front static undercarriage. I keep forgetting it, but undercarriage. So yeah, so basically 4 sticks coming down there, with a bunch of these 3x1 rounded bricks, and then the wheels have been plonked in the middle for 4 wheels at the front there, just to give it more stability when it's on the ground and moving about. Again, yeah, the wings have been elongated. The crosses have been moved across slightly. As for the camouflage, because I'm sure you're all dying to know about the camouflage, well, I had a look at some of the other camouflages, and the Germans liked doing trapezoid, or not trapezoid, but hexagon style camouflage. And at first, what I wanted to do was use the 1x1 flat plates like this, and just have a bunch of them like that, so which would be looking like that. However, the only problem with that was that if you try and do it like that, it leaves a hole in the middle, which I didn't like the look of. So I got rid of that. I then tried using cylinders, but again, it's the same problem with if you have a bunch of golf balls in a pot, you're never going to get the most out of that pot because, well, they don't compact neatly like squares or rectangles. So yeah, circles are out. And so in the end, I decided to use a star version of the camouflage, which gives it an interesting theme. I could have just used squares, but I decided to make it different. So that's what they look like. They're an 8-pointed star, which is just they're two 1x1. Two 1x1 flats. One of them is just rotated 45 degrees and then plonked on top of the other one. But it does give it an interesting looking camouflage, and they often use 4-tone camouflage, which I've tried to mimic here. So you've got a yellow one, you've got it's light grey, but it's a sort of dullish white, you could say. So it's a sort of light grey, dullish white sort of thing. This is orange, then you got purple, and you got a just blue on there. And so yeah, I switched up the camouflage. I changed it to that, and that is going to contribute for probably half the bricks in this creation, which is why it's such a massive creation. It was lagging where every time I tried to copy and paste a quad of these, which just goes to show how big this thing is. And so yeah, that's the reason for that camouflage. Rear turret, they had windbreak sort of things for the gunners, so that they could sort of hide from the wind when they're not in combat, and so this is what these are for. Yeah, again, rear machine gun turret, which can turn 100 degrees either way around, so it gives it a good cone of fire. And then heading back from here, the fuselage was elongated to accommodate again for this rear machine gunner. At the back here, still got the old the undercarriage at the back, and then again, twin engine bombers often had this sort of double stack tailplane, which I've done here. So yeah, it's got two 8x4 flat plates, just one either side, doubled, and then on this again more flaps, because again, unwieldy thing this is going to be. So yep, done that. And then of course more poles, more sticks into it. And then for the rudder, because you can't really put one rudder here, they often did two rudders. So what I've done is I've just put down some glass redirectors, and they basically hold this up, and then just to give it a bit of a feel, another cross on there, and again on the other side. And the glass just helps them A, stick up, and B, the glass doesn't stand out because of course it's see-through. As to how this is powered inside here, you've got an inline 4 engine, yeah, because well, you need to power this thing. I tried powering it with a V8 because I thought that this wouldn't have enough power, but as it happens this has got plenty of power to get this thing up and into the air. And now for the engines. So I'm quite happy with how I've done the engines for this thing. So I've changed the nose cone. The nose cone is now a more rounded rather than a point. This is a half sphere, a 2x2 half sphere, and then on that you've got a redirector which helps it fit onto a glass redirector, which makes it look like it is actually part of the propeller now, which was very handy. And then, just to match it up with the camouflage, I have just put some 1x1 ramps on here. They're rounded ramps, and they're in the same colour as they would be if they were on here. So, of course, blue matches up to blue, white matches up to white, so on and so on. And I basically gave it that sort of jagged camo. I had a bit of problem, actually, putting these on the underneath to make it look like a rounded engine, because, you know, no engine's really box-shaped. So in order to make it sort of look rounded, I used some of these redirectors, which was a 1x1, but not a full stud. It's just the sort of little stud bit, which helps it connect to one of these, which is just a cylinder, a 1x1, sorry, a 2x2 flat cylinder. And then, yeah, of course, onto that, you've got the axle, which makes the propellers go around. And then you've got the connectors, just to connect it onto the actual aircraft, because these were often suspended in between the two wings. So in order to do that, I've got one of these redirectors, which is a stud, except it's just a stud, so it's basically a circle piece of plastic. And then in that I've used the rods because, you know, I finally figured out where the rods are without knowing them for these, but I decided to stick with these because I think it just makes it look better just to have them more thick, because, well, you know, if these collapsed, the whole wing would collapse in on itself. So I just thought making them thicker just makes it look more sturdy. And then for the engine to be held onto, there's just loads of these rods. In order to make these ones stick, I put them on the top of the wing and then put these underneath, and luckily they just managed to stretch to the halfway point, which I've used by one of these 4x1 flat rounded bricks on either end of the engine, in wood, because, you know, wood and canvas was the main usage for these aircraft. And then, yeah, rods on all 4 points of the engine makes it look like it's suspended, and also gives it structural integrity and just makes it look cool. Again, same on the other engine. And then because the Albatross design for my Wobble 1 biplane had the inline 4 engine sort of sticking out, then I decided to give it running lights down the top of the engine. I decided to mimic it here with this aircraft, and on either side of the engine I've got some of these glass redirectors, and then I've got some light cylinders on here, just 1x1 circles, and these have got the running lights on them. So it goes 1, 2 on the side there, 3 and 4. Because, you know, exhausts have to go somewhere, and they often went to the sides of the engines. So that's what these are supposed to be. And yeah, other than that, camo along the top of it, obviously, kept the grey camo on the underneath, as you can see here. Yeah, I think that's just about it. It's a 3-man crew. You've got the pilot and then the 2 gunners. Maybe I could have widened the fuselage, but then that would have brought on a whole load of other problems. But I just decided to keep it simple. And yeah, I didn't make any noticeable changes. So here we go. This is what it looks like. We can power it, we can turn it, and you sort of need a long runway. So you sort of have to use the runway, unlike the biplane, unlike the fighter, which sort of takes off pretty much anywhere in a short amount of time. This thing actually needs a runway. So yeah, I've sort of cut across the grass. Didn't really mean to do that, but yeah. Same thing with this thing. It flies best in first person, but the controls are exactly the same. You've got pitch, and yaw is created, or sorry, pitch and what is it? The side to side. Is that yaw? I don't think it's yaw. But yeah. Anyway, those are controlled with the mouse, and then the actual turning is done by your A and D keys. And so yeah, going into first person, this is what it looks like. Isn't it wonderful? I should probably get rid of that. There we go. Oh no, I still have the gun. Well, oh well. We've now got a gun in the way. I don't want a gun. No. There you go. So let's just respawn. Okay, so I've respawned. The plane is still over there, which is very useful. So let me just move back to the plane. There we go. Now I don't have a gun sticking up, so this is what it looks like from the rear view here. So there's your big twin tailplane. There's the little gunner's position. I'm sort of teasing you with this whole aircraft because I'm sure you want to see it fly, but this is what it looks like from the front gunner's position. There's the engines. I can only imagine that it would look glorious actually in the air with you, with someone sitting up the front. That's not good. Why has that happened? It's happened on the other side as well. Well, I'll have to figure that out. I think I just need a redirector on there, and then they'll stick on. That's easy to fix. I've spent too long trying to get it here. So yeah, this is the front cockpit. Front machine gunner's port. Engines at the back, obviously, yeah. And then passenger on the back. Well, rear gunner. And this is what it looks like. Very wonderful. But anyway, I've led you on enough. I've led you on enough. It's now getting to night time, which is when you'll see the full colours. So again, headlights to turn on the wingtip lights, and then J is how you turn on the engines, or at least how you turn on the lights there. So yeah, let's head out, accomplish something for Germany. Oh, getting a bit of wave. Yeah, as you can see, longer runway needed this time, but we're up in the air, just about. And so let's start banking towards the city. There we go. Oh dear. Yeah, I'm just as terrible at flying this as last time. But there we go. There's the wonderful city from the view of our bomber. Glorious. Yeah, this thing is rather more unstable due to the fact that it is a larger design, which means that the flying of it is a lot difficult. Ah, there we go, there's a wonderful view. Yeah, there's the train, you can see the train going around. I haven't fitted bombs to this thing, because, yeah, how do you create a good bomb in brick groups anyway? I know, I'm sure you can, but I just haven't added them. So yeah, there we go. Wonderful view from the cockpit of our bomber as we bank around the city. So yeah, a rather more ungainly beast, but still just as beautiful. Oh dear, I'm going to crash into the ground if I'm not careful. Let's level out, shall we? There we go. If you put grayscale over this and make it grainy, almost pass it off for actual war footage. No, unfortunately I don't think so. Yeah. Those are my biggest projects. Yeah. Probably the thing that I'm most happy about with this thing is the engines. I think the engines are the best. Just because they look so, you know, rounded and perfect. But yeah, the whole aircraft itself is a feat. I've spent a while actually working this thing out. The machine guns are controlled via the mouse, as you might be able to tell. Oh dear, we're coming in hard. Okay, yeah, that hasn't quite gone well. Oh dear, there goes the front gunner. Yeah, thump, there we go, undercarriage collapsed in on the weight. But yeah, the tailplane also is sheared in half. But yeah, so those are my biggest, this is definitely the biggest thing that I've done right now. The front of it is rounded, as you can see. And yeah, as you can see, running lights 1, 2 on one side, 3 and 4 on the other side. Yeah, definitely need a runway for this thing, however, so let's do a power slide apparently. Let's see if we can take off again, shall we? There we go. And we're up onto it, and let's go. Come on, lift up, lift up, lift up. We've gone off the runway, I feel. Hey, there we go. So yeah, we're up in the sky again. No doubt if I try and control this thing not in first person, it will go horribly, horribly wrong, because yeah, that's not going well. So yeah, again, definitely flies best in first person, as per usual. I mean, there it is, flying off into the distance at a steady 120-ish miles an hour. Yeah, so here it is. Mobile 1 biplane bomber, and let's just crash in slow motion, shall we? Watch this thing as it nosedives down. Bang! Hit on the undercarriage, flies up in the air. He glides about a bit and crunch. Bounces off the back wheel. Nose touching the ground. Yeah, and there we go. And it's over. And there we go. Anyway, yes, I'll thank you for watching.